As NFL training camps draw near, a legion of rookies prepares for the most pivotal audition of their lives. Some were coveted first-round selections, born for the spotlight. Others are late-round gems, desperate to rewrite the scouting reports. And then there's Sheadur Sanders, a name unannounced on draft night, yet commanding more attention than many whose names were called. Inside the Tampa Bay Buccaneers facility, Shiloh has embodied everything the league claims to reward. He arrives early, communicates with the poise of a seasoned pro, delivers on special teams, and garners genuine respect from both coaches and veteran teammates. He's not simply occupying a roster spot. He's contending for a future in the NFL through grit, performance, and relentless determination. Yet behind the curtain, a far more nuanced narrative has begun to unfold. Despite his momentum, whispers within the organization suggest Shiloh may still find himself on the outside looking in once final roster decisions are made. And the rationale offered doesn't always hinge on blown assignments or flawed reads. Rather, it appears to orbit around his last name, his public image, and the legacy of the man who raised him. Sheadur Sanders isn't just battling for a job, he's navigating an institutional ecosystem that often resists audacity, especially when that boldness comes in the form of a young black athlete tied to one of the most disruptive figures in the modern era of football. His journey is about more than just making the team. It's about whether the league will allow a new chapter in the Sanders legacy to unfold within a structure that historically rejected those unwilling to conform. What that verdict reveals may say more about the NFL itself than it does about Shiloh. In the world of professional sports, a surname can be both a blessing and a burden. And for Shiloh Sanders, that duality is becoming increasingly evident. On paper, he's a determined rookie defensive back grinding for a shot with the Buccaneers. But in reality, he's a young man carrying a name that holds more weight than most franchises are comfortable acknowledging. That name isn't merely a reminder of past greatness, it's a symbol of disruption. Deion Sanders didn't just play the game, he transformed it. He spoke loudly when others whispered, he celebrated his blackness, his brilliance, and his uniqueness without apology. Millions adored him for it, but within certain executive circles, the memory of his defiance lingers, not as inspiration, but as an unresolved challenge. Now, his son stands on the threshold of the same league, not as a legacy case expecting entitlement, but as a determined warrior attempting to earn his place. Yet the situation carries a haunting familiarity. The questions surrounding Shiloh are no longer limited to his ability to cover receivers or tackle an open space. They now ask whether the NFL is ready or willing to embrace another Sanders who might bring with him the same unapologetic spirit, the same visible confidence, the same refusal to shrink in order to fit in. A sobering truth lies just beneath the surface. If Shiloh were the son of a more politically palatable figure, someone less defiant, someone who mastered the backroom handshake as well as the locker room speech, would he already be penciled into the 53-man roster? Would his leadership, his special teams, hustle, and his field consistency be enough if his last name were less charged? As camp approaches, the question is no longer whether Shiloh has done enough, it's whether the NFL is willing to distinguish the man from the legacy, or if it will silently punish the son for the audacity of the father. There's an old adage in football, the eye in the sky doesn't lie. Game film is the gospel, the unflinching truth. Coaches preach that tape reveals everything, and in Shiloh's case, the tape doesn't whisper, it roars. At Colorado, he built a reputation as a cerebral, physical, instinct-driven safety. He wasn't chasing clout, he wasn't leaning on his last name, he earned every snap. He wrapped up in open space, orchestrated pre-snap alignments, and made plays that required more brain than bravado. These are precisely the traits the NFL claims to value: awareness, vocal leadership, and unflinching toughness. Yet on draft day, they looked the other way. Now, in Tampa Bay, he's carried that same ethic into every rep. He's flying down the field on special teams, executing drills with urgency and earning genuine recognition from seasoned players who know exactly what surviving in this league demands. He's checked every box. And yet, his name remains mysteriously absent from most 53-man projections. Why? Because it was never just about the tape. Buccaneers insider Scott Reynolds made it plain Shiloh may be a roster casualty, not because of football, but finances. J.J. Roberts, another undrafted rookie, received a draftable grade, a coveted 30 visit, and a hefty guaranteed bonus. That financial commitment has become a quiet obligation, a promise being honored regardless of performance. Roberts, they say, possesses greater upside, but if you watch the film without bias, That assertion becomes much harder to defend. This isn't just a numbers game, it's a narrative war, and the narrative around Shiloh isn't being shaped by his coaches, his teammates, or even his tape. It's being shaped by association. He's no longer seen as a player, he's a symbol, a stand-in for everything the league quietly fears: lineage, legacy, and loud self-belief wrapped in black excellence. In a perfect world, the tape would speak for itself. In this one, silence speaks volumes. The footage may be undeniable, but the league appears to have already decided it won't listen. On the surface, the battle between Sheadur Sanders and J.J. Roberts looks fair. Two undrafted rookies, one roster spot. But underneath, it's choreographed. The league has quietly chosen its preferred script, and that script favors the player who fits the mold, not the one who dares to challenge it. Athletic prowess alone doesn't guarantee opportunity in today's NFL. And in the case of J.J. Roberts, it was his official pre-draft visit that created a strategic advantage few fans fully understand. A 30 visit isn't just a formality, it's a declaration of interest, a breadcrumb trail of intent. It signals organizational investment, a front office's willingness to stake time, resources, and future justification on a prospect. That's the foundation Roberts was given. Tampa Bay didn't just sign him, they allocated hundreds of thousands in guaranteed compensation. That kind of financial commitment transforms a rookie into a project with built-in protection. In contrast, Shiloh Sanders entered camp with no guarantees, no cushion, no promises, no margin for error. From the outset, the odds weren't merely stacked, they were skewed. Roberts arrived with institutional support. Shiloh showed up with only his discipline, his determination, and his surname. A name that, while legendary, also cast a long and complicated shadow. Instead of inspiring confidence, it has invited doubt. Every misstep Shiloh makes is magnified. Every imperfect rep becomes ammunition for confirmation bias. Is he only here because of Dion? Does he expect preferential treatment? Is this another case of legacy hype over genuine substance? Those questions don't haunt Roberts. They don't follow most rookies, but they cling to Shiloh because the NFL has been conditioned to distrust anything tethered to Deion Sanders' unapologetic legacy. This battle isn't about effort, it's not even about execution, it's about perception, about who fits neatly into the NFL's preferred narrative structure and who disrupts it. Roberts is the easy sell, soft-spoken, traditionally scouted, uncontroversial. He entered through the league's conventional pipeline, and that makes executives comfortable. Shiloh, on the other hand, is a walking reminder that the system can be disrupted, that culture, confidence, and charisma can penetrate rooms they were never formally invited into, and that, more than anything else, unsettles the establishment. For the vast majority of undrafted players, special teams offer the golden gateway, the one domain where hustle can eclipse pedigree and grit can outweigh draft position. Coaches love to proclaim, if you want a spot, earn it on special teams. And Shiloh has done just that. He's flashed range and kick coverage, demonstrated poise under pressure, and thrown his body into vulnerable lanes without hesitation. He's vocal. He's disciplined. He's impactful. Special teams have become his proving ground, a space where overlooked talent carves out undeniable value. Yet one can't help but ask, is the league truly watching, or are its eyes fixed elsewhere? The Buccaneers' depth chart at safety is far from solidified. Several veterans have underperformed in recent seasons. The 4th and 5th slots remain wide open. If this league genuinely prioritizes versatility, football IQ, and relentless effort, Shiloh's stock should be rising. But it isn't. Instead, his special teams contributions are evaluated through a cynical lens. While other rookies receive praise for isolated highlights, Shiloh's standout moments trigger interrogation. Was that adrenaline? Can he repeat it? Is he overcompensating? Other players are applauded for leadership. Shiloh is labeled overzealous or too theatrical. In a league that advertises individuality, it often rewards compliance. And perhaps Shiloh's biggest obstacle is his refusal to dilute the very qualities that define him. This is supposed to be the formula: arrive undrafted, grind on special teams, impress in meetings, earn respect in the locker room, win a job. Shiloh has checked every box. But the league seems to be holding one invisible requirement just out of reach, one he cannot satisfy no matter how hard he trains. In the next phase of camp, that unspoken standard may determine his fate more than any tape ever could. Where does Sanders fit in? Will he earn a spot during training camp? Or could he be cut before he even takes a snap in preseason? Early reports suggest Sanders is locked in and plans to attend Browns training camp this July, a clear sign he's ready to compete and prove himself. But some analysts, like Chris Boombaka of USA Today, have voiced skepticism. With so many quarterbacks on the roster, it's possible the Browns may release Sanders before camp begins, especially if they believe he doesn't fit their system. But here's where it gets interesting. Sheadur Sanders is no ordinary rookie project. He has talent, he has upside, and that's something Cleveland cannot afford to overlook. Even if he doesn't start in 2025, his long-term potential makes him an asset worth developing, especially under a seasoned veteran like Watson. Let's not forget, quarterback uncertainty has haunted the Browns for years. Between injuries, inconsistent play, and high-stakes misfires, the team has struggled to find long-term stability at the position. Letting Sanders walk without a real opportunity could be a costly misstep, yes. Deshaun Watson remains the starter, but his recovery from injury and off-field distractions leave the team needing a reliable insurance policy and maybe even a future franchise QB. Maybe a future franchise Sanders could be that guy. Now everything hinges on the Browns' internal evaluation. Will head coach Kevin Stefanski, known for developing young signal callers, give Sanders a legitimate chance? Stefanski helped shape Baker Mayfield early on. He can do the same here if Sanders flashes the right intangibles. Training camp and preseason will be pivotal. Flacco brings veteran wisdom, Pickett has starting experience, but Sanders, he brings star potential. And in a league where the unexpected becomes reality every Sunday, don't be surprised if Sheadur Sanders forces his way into the conversation. Veteran poise will likely secure the primary backup role, and Dillon Gabriel has shown encouraging flashes of potential. So if Sheadur Sanders wants to stand out, he'll have to grind relentlessly. And that's exactly what makes this storyline so captivating. Sanders isn't just hoping for a roster spot, he's battling to earn it. Quick pause. If you want YouTube to keep pushing the latest Browns news to your feed, hit that like button now. It's quick, it matters, and it keeps the momentum rolling. Thank you. Now back to the big reveal. What's truly fascinating is how Sanders is embracing the challenge. Despite limited reps with the Browns' first-team offense, he's maintained laser-sharp focus and a resilient mindset. In his interviews, Sanders has made it clear he's willing to do whatever it takes to secure a place on this roster. Whether that's stepping up in practice, showing quiet leadership, or being ready the moment his name is called. He's taken a mature, professional approach, acknowledging that the NFL is a business and that true opportunity is seized through preparation and perseverance. And that mindset is crucial for any young player, especially one with a high-profile background like his. Now, zooming out to the bigger picture, the Browns are at a defining crossroads. They've invested heavily, both financially and emotionally, in Deshaun Watson, betting big that he's the long-awaited franchise quarterback. But the reality? Injuries and off-field controversies have cast a long shadow of uncertainty over that investment, which is why a dependable backup or even a potential successor becomes a vital piece of the puzzle. If Sanders can showcase the explosiveness and vision he demonstrated at Colorado, he could emerge as a true dark horse, a hidden gem in a quarterback battle most think is already settled. And let's not forget, this Browns coaching staff has a proven track record of developing talent. That developmental culture could be Sanders' greatest advantage if he's granted a real opportunity. Now, consider the landscape of the AFC North, arguably the most unforgiving division in football. Baltimore boasts the electrifying Lamar Jackson in a playoff-ready roster. Cincinnati is anchored by Joe Burrow and a stacked, opportunistic defense. Pittsburgh remains dangerous with a rock-solid defense and rising QB Kenny Pickett. In a division this competitive, even the smallest edge can tip the balance. If Cleveland can nurture Sanders into a legitimate backup or eventually a starting caliber quarterback, it could be the X factor that pushes them past the competition in critical moments. Let's also reflect on the Browns' quarterback legacy. From the days of Bernie Kosar to the endless carousel of short-lived starters, this franchise has long craved consistency at the position, and every season, fans dare to hope that this year might finally be the one. A rising star like Sanders, if properly developed, could be a part of that long-awaited breakthrough. So, what's next? All eyes now turn to training camp, the battleground where Sanders must prove he belongs. The coaching staff will assess more than just arm strength and mobility. They'll be evaluating his football IQ, his command of the playbook, and his leadership intangibles. Then comes the preseason, a spotlight moment where legends are born and sleepers rise. This will be his chance to shine when it counts in live game action, so Browns fans, stay locked in. The next few weeks will be pivotal. While the organization continues to ride with Deshaun Watson, they know the future can change in a heartbeat. And in Sanders, they might have a rare talent worth cultivating. In the end, this isn't just about one quarterback. It's about building a roster with resilience, vision, and depth. Whether Sanders becomes a future starter or a key reserve, his journey adds intrigue to an already electric offseason. So Cleveland faithful, what's your take? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, not just to us, but to the entire Browns community. And don't forget, more breaking updates are on the way. Stay tuned, stay passionate, and stay proud. This is Cleveland Browns football at its finest. Breaking news out of Berea. A seismic shift is quietly unfolding, and it's not just about personnel or X's and O's. It's about something deeper. Belief. Belief in a new identity. Belief in untapped talent. Belief that what's been brewing behind the scenes during minicamp may erupt under the stadium lights this fall. Because let's be real, what just happened at Browns minicamp isn't some off-season footnote. This might be the spark that ignites a quarterback revolution in Cleveland. Hit that like button if you're ready to ride this wave with us, and buckle up because this is going to get interesting. That spark? Dillon Gabriel. Yes, you read that right. The same Dillon Gabriel who orchestrated an undefeated Big Ten run at Oregon, dominated Penn State in the conference title game, and led his team to the No. 1 seed in the college football playoff. The same Gabriel who transferred from Oklahoma and was projected by many to fall beyond the third round of the NFL draft. And yet, the Cleveland Browns shocked the league by taking him in the third round. That alone stirred headlines, but what turned it into a full-blown quarterback controversy was the fact that Gabriel was selected while Sheadur Sanders was still on the board. The media darling, the fan favorite, the processing, the arm talent, it's all there. And while no one's penciling him in as the Week 1 starter over Joe Flacco, let's be crystal clear. If Flacco doesn't take the opening snap, the only name that deserves to be in the QB2 conversation is Sheadur Sanders. But Sanders isn't the lone rookie turning heads. Quinshon Judkins is making the game look effortless. As in, NFL ready from day one, effortless. The way he's slicing through the defense, the burst he shows coming out of the backfield, it's textbook. Sports Illustrated nailed it when they labeled Judkins as a prototypical NFL running back. This isn't about potential, it's about proven readiness, strength, patience, explosiveness. He's got the complete package. And let's not forget the landscape in Cleveland's running back room. With uncertainty swirling and opportunities wide open, Judkins isn't just knocking on the door. He's about to bulldoze it down. He could be carrying the load for this offense far sooner than expected. Then there's Carson Swessinger, another young up-and-comer, stealthily emerging from the shadows. You don't often hear about rookie linebackers commanding the spotlight early, but Swessinger is the exception. His football IQ is off the charts. Jordan Hicks couldn't stop raving about his instincts, his play recognition, his ability to drop back into coverage, his relentless pursuit of the ball. This guy is already being whispered about as a potential defensive signal caller, a future green dot. If you're a Browns fan searching for the next defensive leader, you might want to keep your eyes on No. 53. And let's not forget Jerry Jeudy, who's not just cementing himself as a reliable wideout, but emerging as the guy in the receiver corps. The chemistry he's building with Joe Flacco, it's real. Locker room camaraderie, daily conversations, on-field synergy, it's all happening. Jeudy is proving he's ready to embrace the WR1 role with Elijah Moore out of the picture, and he's doing it with crisp footwork, sharp routes, and the veteran savvy that can transform this passing game into a legitimate threat, assuming the quarterback play holds up. But for every riser, someone inevitably slides. And the biggest eyebrow raiser, Deontay Hardy. A complete no-show at voluntary OTAs. Now, yes, it's technically voluntary, but when you're a journeyman who's bounced from the Steelers to the Texans to the Ravens and now the Browns, you can't afford to miss reps, especially not with a new team, a new coaching staff, and a new quarterback room. This was his chance to stake a claim, and instead he's left fans with more questions than answers. Let's be honest, if it doesn't work in Cleveland, where does it work? And then there's the elephant in the room, Deshaun Watson. Harsh? Maybe. But real? Absolutely. Watson was absent from OTAs, and the vibe surrounding his status feels like a slow fade to irrelevance. 2 rookie quarterbacks have been drafted. Flacco was brought in. Kenny Pickett was traded for. The writing's on the wall, and it's in bold font. When you combine his injury history, off-field controversies, and declining performance, the road back to being the guy looks like a tightrope walk. Watson at QB5? That's not just a slide, that's a free fall. And speaking of Kenny Pickett, what exactly is his role in all of this? Is he an insurance policy, trade bait, maybe both? He's stuck in a limbo between starter and backup, but the arrow is definitely pointing down. He's QB2 right now, but with Sanders and Gabrielle flashing promise and Flacco locked in as QB1, Pickett might just be the odd man out. His 2024 tape, mediocre at best. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 appearances. That doesn't exactly scream franchise quarterback. It whispers backup. And perhaps that's the hidden opportunity here. If Pickett fails to climb the depth chart, maybe he finds new value elsewhere. On the trade block, the Browns could potentially reclaim a draft pick, maybe a 5th or 6th rounder. At this stage, that might be the most strategic outcome for both parties. But let's pump the brakes for a second, because there's so much more to unpack. You've just gotten the first wave of seismic shakeups from OTAs, the names you need to monitor, the futures that might already be sealed. But we're only halfway through. The second half is coming, and it's going to plunge even deeper into what all of this means for the 2025 season and how this roster might actually crystallize by week 1. Because when you look closely, these OTAs didn't just offer a sneak peek at who's leading. They gave us clarity on what's likely headed our way. Browns fans, make no mistake. This is a team at a pivotal crossroads. Every position group is being redefined, and the coaching staff isn't pulling any punches. They're handing real reps to the rookies. They're challenging the veterans, and in some cases, they're making it crystal clear the pecking order is no longer built on reputation. It's strictly performance or bust. Let's revisit Sheadur Sanders for a moment, because his story is just getting started. If you're the Cleveland Browns and your once prized first-round franchise quarterback is on the brink of irrelevance, then the 5th rounder, who's stacking impressive days in OTAs, suddenly becomes more than just a developmental project. This isn't merely about how Sanders looked in shorts and shells. This is about how quickly he's processing reads, how decisively he's delivering the ball. The coaching staff isn't oblivious. They see the spark. They see the future. And let's be real. If Sanders carries this momentum into minicamp and preseason, the notion of him leapfrogging Kenny Pickett on the depth chart isn't some hot take. It's inevitable. Now pivot back to that running back room. Inside an NFL facility, meritocracy still lives, at least among the players. Teammates see beyond the headlines. They notice who stays late, who sacrifices comfort for cohesion, who elevates the energy without being asked. And in those quiet corners of credibility, Shiloh Sanders has earned admiration, not because of his name, but because of his conduct when the lights are off. Veterans in Tampa Bay's locker room have acknowledged his impact behind the scenes. They recognize a young man who leads by example, one who approaches every rep as though it might be his last. Coaches have commended his maturity, his adaptability, and his contagious intensity. In meetings, he asks the right questions. In drills, he drives the tempo. In scrimmages, he competes with urgency and intention. None of it feels fabricated. None of it feels inherited. It feels earned. And in a league so often distracted by noise, Shiloh Sanders has quietly become the signal, a player demanding to be judged not by legacy, but by effort, grit, and undeniable production. Thank you guys. See you next video.